Jesus. How is? Oh, lads, I'm in a tatter. Thank you all for coming out and saying happy birthday. It's awesome. I've come a long way, baby. This night last year, I was standing outside without the price of a ticket to come in, wondering if I could give somebody the Bambies and maybe lift the flap at the side of the tent and try and get inside and make myself small at the back and pretend I had somewhere to go. I'm just taking this photo and then I'll be back. Yeah. I'll give it to you later. Tonight I'm the headline act on my 50th birthday. I'm finally getting my head together, but my body has other ideas. I have 4 sizes of clothes in my wardrobe, 3 of which will never be worn by me again. At 50, one spends more time getting one's hair ripped out of one's face than any other thing. Just let me get the long black curly ones on your neck, says the broad in the tabard, as we laugh hysterically and the tears pour down my fat cheeks. When I look in a full-length mirror now, I can see my arse from the front. 50 is a weird age. I can clearly remember my childhood, but I can't remember where I put anything. Instead, last year I went home to read the 1,747 emails on Facebook that thought I was having a wonderful, spiffing, hilarious, marvellous day, being spoilt rotten by all and sundry, and getting backache from picking up the bulging cards from the mat. The reality was I got a single homemade card on a cereal box from my nephew, Josie Mombosi. My mother, who was the same age then as I am tonight, remained the calm eye in the hurricane, repeatedly walking down to the Star Bakery to add yet another layer to the tears of the cake, as the hall table towered unsteadily higher with the RSVPs. Jesus, Ma'am, no one even wants cake, I said as I watched her, but she protested as she is old school, and deciding if they were invited, they would be fed cake after it was photographed and then cut up into squares and put on doilies on saucers and the remnants sent to England in a box as a souvenir. It also displayed his rose tattoo to the nation. My mother squinted through the smoke at the head of him coming back, squeezed into the tiny T-shirt, his jeans soaked, and the artwork on his arm gleaming in the late evening sun. I had gone back to work in the harbour yet again, this time wearing the uniform of the tourist board with a knotted silk kerchief and a waistcoat. Michelle, please don't be asking the tourists for lifts home and then bringing them out to the pub with you. I was sharing the flat with a Bangarda, who was also called Michelle, which would cause untold kerfuffle when Catherine Nevin murdered her husband and they told me to go to Wicklow with the forensic team. You're to go to Wicklow, what? Yeah. I saw the other Michelle on the 6-1 News sadly raking the grass in a white paper suit. A powder blue Volkswagen camper with flowers printed on the side pulled lazily into the side of the road, and I brought the stoned Frenchman named Thierry home to Luke Kelly, and he parked on the quay outside our flat in the Wren's Nest and rang the bell the next morning to invite us down for café au lait and French toast in the camper van. With the door open onto the busy quay while we sat knee to knee, I threw the milky coffee over the wooden works while he was faffing around with sugar, and breasted out the stares of the rubberneckers who looked on at the trio of us breakfasting in disbelief. That man was living in a van on the quay with 2 men. The owl lads with the terriers nodded to each other. Writers are tortured souls who inhabit a strange netherworld out at the edges, lost in thought or anger, frustration, ennui, guilt, self-analysis and sabotage. They are prone to stress-related illness and alcoholism, mental health issues and depression. They are always broke and wrecked and living on their nerves and wondering where the next shilling is coming from. We, however, were having a ball. Why is there always a shitty underpants at a lake? Why do teenagers have to scream hello and goodbye into each other's faces for so long when they're only going to the jacks? How do fags always lighten films on the first go? Why is my smear nurse called Dora and now I'm bound to call her Dora the Explorer? Why does she bother to leave the room while I'm getting undressed? She's gonna see me naked anyway, right? Actually, worse than naked, half naked with socks on. In the song Yankee Doodle Dandy, is he calling the pony, the hat, or the feather macaroni? Does a dentist take out his own tooth? Why doesn't Tarzan have a beard? What do people in China call the good plates? Who do I think I am? Who do I think I am? The actual party for my 40th was held upstairs in the Sky and the Ground, which at the time was called Heavens Above, which was fitting. I was standing in the middle of the floor, tricking around with a cylinder of helium, wondering how I could get it to work without having someone's eye out. I may go get something with a scrotum, says I to the lads from the ship. Siobhan was at my party that night. It is the last one that she has been at, and her absence here tonight is felt not only by me and my family, but also the silent audience who read about her and my memories of her on a regular basis. I spent my 49th birthday alternately fuming and crying. It started off grand, nothing you could put a finger on, just ornery and contrary and curmudgeonly. Nothing about aging, just weird. I walked into Siobhan's room this night last year, as usual, as it was my night, and I could think of nowhere else I would rather be. In her silent presence, I can find the space to exhale, to stop grinning inanely, to cease forcing smiles and trying to remember things, names, faces, pieces I have written. No matter how much I love you, I have to run away from you and process the information, to tease it out like a tangled ball of wool, and then to wonder why I didn't react better, bigger, properly. She had a catheter that night with a bag taped to her leg. The morning carers, when they were lifting her up, noticed that her nappy was dry, and they were checking for a condition called retention, where the message to the bladder from the brain stops getting through. I placed the tiny chihuahua gently onto her lap. I need a hug, so I bend over and hold her and try to lean through the chair. I try not to move her. Osteoporosis is a bitch. I comb her hair and smooth her face and ask for ice in the Baileys. I don't drink any, birthday or not. I line up the drink and lemonade and water on the arm of the chair to assist in the flow the nurses will monitor on the chart. As I carefully place the rim of the glass against her mouth and fold the napkin under it, I watch the involuntary spasms which make her shake suddenly in the chair. Parkinson's is a bastard. The tiny chihuahua cuddles into her, licking the curled, closed hands, rubbing his small head against her eye, the one that always has an itch she cannot scratch. Alzheimer's is a fucker. On the night of my 40th, Siobhan sat in a booth with my family, the family that has grown smaller over a decade, from being able to fill a room on their own until now only 3 of the Dooley siblings remain. I had lost 4 stone and was outrageous in a velvet dress, running from table to table, shouting, "What did you bring me?" as I passed the envelopes and gift wrap boxes back to my mother for safekeeping. Stop. That was my cake, says I. Fuck, says he. And we only came in here tonight because we heard brewing up a storm. Another storm was brewing that we could not know the impact of. The inner landscape and soundtrack that runs in my head is my mother's voice. As I hastily mop the fluff and coal dust from one side of the living room to the other, wet of head and wearing my coat to run out the door, I hear her say, "Give it a lick and a promise, Michelle." When I'm washing up my solitary plate and glass a single fork, I hear her say, "Dry them out of it." If a knife falls on the floor, I hear her say, "We have a visitor. Would you be interested in this?" As she tried to buy me clothing, crockery. "Oh, he's on the usual owl, can't I see," about a politician on the evening news. Her stoic, silent presence outside the bathroom door when she heard me sobbing about the end and premature ending of yet another doomed love affair. What's for you won't pass you. We haven't heard her speak for years. Sometimes I dream that I hear her talking and I'm amazed at the huskiness of her voice. 10 days before I stand on a stage in a tent on a key in my hometown on the 50th anniversary of me shrieking my way onto the planet while the soprano was screeching her way through the higher notes in Lucia di Lammermoor by Donizetti. She decides to speak, although we are not there. For my spoken word performance, she decides to deliver some spoken words of her own. She frightened the living bejesus out of a carer who was waking her, this living doll, and they wrote it in the book and talked about it on their break, and I paced nervously, waiting for the call that would tell me what she said. A sneaky wind came and brewed a storm around our door a decade ago. It rustled up dry leaves and memories like pages flicking in a manuscript, and blew words and memories around me like snuff at a wake. It confronted and confounded me. It laid me low with body blows and sadness and bewilderment. It shaped and molded me like soft, sloppy cement splashed into a late evening mixer where with sand and water and time. It blew a clean channel through the wide open space of my heart and carved its name on the minds of those who love this woman. And I have emerged from the pummeling, polished and shining like a hard, hard emerald on the other end. Many people I have loved have spirited away since that last party, crossing into a space of beauty and peace in a place so filled with love it would stop your heart in your chest. Lovers have let go and blown away like seeds from a dandelion, and I stand here alone tonight after 50 years and a half century contemplating my future and tell you what she said. She said, "Stop it. Stop it," she said. So I will.
Underneath the cold, cold stars, we are bound and yet so far apart, as we're drifting on a lonely rock. We must stumble on beneath the dark, real intention to the end. Yet we cry for our disloyal friends as we clamor to redress offense. We are shackled to our ignorance. In his loneliness he spoke to me that a king could feel my misery, and my wounds are just illusory, and my suffering is temporary. Though he lost it all to treachery, he endured those chains with dignity. With it I could wear mine willingly and embrace what I cannot achieve.